So we're here at Content Marketing World with Mark Schaefer, who's the Executive Director of Schaefer Marketing Solutions and an educator at Rutgers University. Welcome, Mark.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Being
I'm honored.
So what are you here to talk about?
Something really exciting. I tested something new here. It's really my new thinking about where marketing is going. I've been kind of shocked. My head is sort of spinning when you see that a lot of the traditional ways we've tried to connect with people, to connect with an audience, are really drying up or going away. It's becoming more and more difficult. And I saw this research theme that actually loyalty is declining. And we're like, what? That's what we're supposed to do. There's almost like a backlash against loyalty. So I've been exploring what's open to marketers. What's marketing in the next few years really going to look like? And the future is really going toward user-generated content, influence marketing, reviews, and the power is shifting dramatically from campaigns and agencies to, it almost seems trite, but it's true, relationships and content. And I think that there's an opportunity to really elevate employees, because it's hard to love a company. We can love people. It's hard to love a brand, and there's a backlash against that. Brands and companies are seen as distant and remote and inaccessible. And I had this very profound quote from this young lady. I asked her why she loved a certain brand. She said, I don't know if I love the brand, but I love the hands that make it. And I think that's really where the future of marketing is to elevate the hands that make it.
But when brands have a more direct line to the consumer than ever, why is that loyalty declining?
Well, I'm exploring that myself, but there seems to be a profound trend about really connecting with people. And we talk about millennials like it's some distant group of young people, but the millennials are having babies. I mean, the millennials, this is the core group of consumers now, digital natives. And I don't want to pigeonhole any group of people, but there is a generational theme that there is a distrust of companies, and they want to be involved in the brands. They want to be involved with the products that they love. They want to know how it's made and who's making it. And you just see that theme over and over again. And I think that's an important lesson for marketing.
Now, you've written 6 best-selling books, and you told me that writing them was a very personal experience for you.
It was. It really, really was. And the difference with this book that I didn't expect is my other books. People love my other books, and they say, oh, they've really helped my business. In this book, over and over again, every week, someone says, this book changed my life.
Wow.
The first review on Audible was, this is the most inspirational book I've ever heard. A lady wrote me and said, I'm giving my children 5 books when they go away to college. This is one of them. It's like, oh my gosh. And it's really touching people in a very personal way, because I use many common people to tell their stories to teach the lessons of the book. So it's not
the book about? Sorry.
Well, the book is about how do you really build and unleash a personal brand in the digital age. And you might think, oh boy, isn't that old? But what I found was a lot of the current videos, books, blogs on this topic really are filled with a lot of hype. And it's not just a matter of a difference of opinion. Some of them are just wrong. They're against good business practices. They're against really solid research that's been done in this area. So I decided the thing that really propelled me was, can anybody become known? Now, I'm not talking about famous. This isn't about being a YouTube star.
Right.
It's about having the internet presence and authority and reputation to get your job done, to give you the best shot to have your dreams come true, whatever that might be. So why not be mindful about that? Why why not be intentional about what you're doing to give yourself the best shot? And what I found is that indeed there is a pattern. I interviewed 97 people, nearly 100 people in different fields like construction and education and real estate and music and art. People who are known around the world, and I discovered they all did the same 4 things. So that kind of became the core of the book, and I let these amazing people, there are 65 people in the book.
Wow. Wow.
I let these amazing people, many of them started with nothing.
Yeah.
They were destitute, homeless even,
Yeah.
and now they're very successful. So it's a powerful book.
Can you give us any insight into what they did or how one would go about starting to build a personal brand?
Well, sure. I mean, I think some of this is just common sense.
Yeah.
I think the power behind this is that thinking about building a personal brand can just seem so overwhelming.
Yeah.
Where do you start? What do you do? But there is a path, and I've got exercises in the book to kind of guide people through each path. So the first step is you have to be clear about what you want to be known for.
Yeah.
That's harder than it seems.
Yeah.
So it has to be relevant, and there has to be an audience big enough out there to matter. So that's the first thing, is what's the story you're going to tell? What's that connection that you're going to have? So it takes some work to really define that. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you do have to start. Then the second step is to find where is the place I'm going to tell that story. Where is a place I can own? Where is the place that is not, it's uncontested. It's something I can do that will still be fun for me. Then the third step, as you could probably guess, is you have to have some sort of content. And this is where a lot of people get really overwhelmed, and I try to just tear back the curtains of this and say, look, it's not that confusing. Here are the 3 types of content you should concentrate on. Pick one, do it well for a year. Here's how you distribute it. Here's how you find the time. Here's how you find the courage. So I address those hard problems. And the fourth is, how do you create a truly actionable audience?
Yeah.
And that's different from a social media audience. When someone like follows you or likes you on social media, that's like waving at you. It doesn't mean they're going to support you or buy anything from you. So this chapter of the book talks about how do you create an audience that you can really rely on, that will help support you and make your dreams come true. And so that's the main foundation of the book.
Did you learn anything from writing that impacted how you constructed your own personal brand?
I learned so much.
Yeah.
I learned so much. I was inspired by writing this book. And when I write a book, I let the research write the book. I mean, I kind of had an outline of a hypothesis. But, I mean, the book moved and turned and twisted in different ways based on what I was hearing from these people. And so one of the things that I learned that had such an impact on me is the importance of persistence and consistency. And when I interviewed these people, the last question I asked all of them was, if you could sort of reach through the book to the readers and give them one piece of advice to encourage them, what would it be? And every person used some form of the word consistency, tenacity, resilience. People quit too soon. And here's what I learned. Consistency is more important than being brilliant, than being an expert. Sometimes just outlasting them, becoming a habit for people, is more important than being the most brilliant or the best. And it does take time. And so, and if something's hard to do, in the book I say it's hard to do, or it takes time. It's a very honest book. But that was one of the things I learned. And another thing that had such an impact on me is when I was interviewing these people, I kept hearing this theme over and over again. I said, what keeps me going with this consistency, even when I'm tired, even when I'm sick, even when I'm down, is I know I'm having an impact on people. People count on me. And when I started researching this idea of what does it take to be consistent and to have this grit. And you look at the research that purpose is a foundational principle behind having grit, and it wasn't just a coincidence.
Yeah.
That really getting up in the morning and knowing I'm making a difference makes a difference in your ability to succeed. And for me, I mean, my purpose is I'm a teacher. I'm a teacher in everything that I do. And people tell me every week, you've helped my business, you've changed my life. Thank you, I've learned from you, and that keeps me going. That is my fuel. That is my purpose. That's greater than money. That's greater than fame or influence. I mean, that's what keeps me going. Yeah.
You have many tentacles to your personal brand. You have a podcast, you have a blog, Grow, you're an author, you're an educator. How do you knit all those things together, and how do you be persistent in each channel? It seems really hard.
Well, it requires discipline. It requires focus. And for me, there is a really good kind of symbiotic relationship between teaching, because it's like teaching, consulting, and content. To teach at the graduate school level today, you have got to be at the top of your game.
Yeah.
I'm getting senior level managers from big companies, and they are smart, and they are sophisticated. So it challenges me to stay on top of everything that's going on. And their questions and challenges turn into content ideas for me. Content ideas that show up in my blog, that end up being books, that end up being my speeches and consulting. So there really is, for me, a great symbiotic relationship between the teaching and the content and the consulting.
Right. What do you read to stay up on top of your industry?
Well, I have to be really selective in what I read. It's a big deal for me, because as a content creator, I don't consume as much content as a lot of other people.
Right.
I mean, I blog twice a week. I've written 6 books, so I've always got some kind of little book project going. And I'm always working on speeches. I've got a podcast that I do with Tom Webster called The Marketing Companion, which is a lot of fun. So I tend to look at content that is introducing ideas about the future. So I'm reading a lot of content about technology, artificial intelligence. I'm a big fan of South by Southwest, and just seeing what's coming next, and hearing about who are the people I need to be following, who are blazing these new trails. That's where I need to be thinking. I mean, my big thing is I'm always about what's next. I get bored with tips and tactics.
Yeah.
Those days are over for me.
Yeah.
So I want to know what's next. I want to guide my readers and my clients and my friends to where we need to go next. So I tend to read about technology mostly.
And when you look out at that horizon, what excites you?
The big thing, of course, is going to be artificial intelligence. As just I hate, everybody says it's a game changer, but it really is. And the big question for me is how fast it could come. Usually, I'm wrong about these things, because you see technology that can have a very obvious impact on the way we do business. But what I see is that adoption is relatively slower. I still have a lot of big companies coming to me saying, how do I get into social media? That's a mature technology. So, artificial intelligence, I think it should be adopted quickly, but I've been wrong about that. So, but that's what I'm really excited about. Super excited.
Cool. And Flipboard is one place for all your passions. So, what does that look like for you? What are you passionate about?
In non-professional, it's basically anything outdoors.
Yeah.
I love nature, hiking, biking, kayaking, boating, anything outdoors, and anything that has to do with nature. I'm a huge if it's something about dirt and rocks, even lichen, moss, fungus, Cool. Nothing cooler than fungus.
I think that's a great place to stop. Thank you
It's
so
a
much.
weird place to stop. Thank you for obliging me.
Thank you for being here.